You know, why do I have the feeling that Tomlin and the team are either gonna horribly dumb down in this game and not take it seriously? Or, the worst case scenario, we go down to Houston and we actually take an L. Oh, that's right, because Mike Tomlin has done this time and time again throughout his career as being head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you can say his track record of being 22-4 against rookie QBs all you want, but you also can't forget about his track record against teams that are just hideous to mediocre. Good Friday, everybody. I am Mac, and I am back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the box below. And this is my Week 4 preview for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Texans, as that is a 1 o'clock kickoff time in Houston. Of course, I'm an hour ahead of Houston, so it's going to be noon their time. And speaking of being an hour ahead of people, be sure to tune in Saturday tomorrow, as at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Central Time, I will be collabing once again with my buddy, Coach Dante, who is a Texans fan. We're going to be on air for 90 minutes talking about the game, so be sure to tune in for that. But getting on to this video, are things really getting better as far as offense goes? Because Sunday night was by far the best offensive showing we've had all season, and my personal opinion, the best game that I've seen Kenny Pickett have over the course of his young career. But here's the thing. One game doesn't change my mind about Matt Canada, and I'm pretty sure that about 99.99% of Steeler fans feel the same way. Yes, Kenny Pickett's coming off his best game where he was finding targets, he was scouring the field, and he was spreading the ball, and he used the maneuverability mainly to keep guys like Max Crosby at bay. But if you tuned in to Mike Tomlin's press conference on Tuesday, he used a term that I thought was pretty head-scratching, to say the least. And he said that the offense got started and it got better with weighty downs. I don't know what he means by that, but in particular, he mentioned the third down production on Sunday night, which we were 6 of 15 on third downs on Sunday, which isn't amazing, but it's a hell of a lot better than being 9 of 29 on third downs for the first 2 weeks of the season. So I don't know if Tomlin means the weighty downs, as he said, are just picking up first downs or whatever, or getting your third down offense play calling up. But the way I see it, it's just a slang term for fans like me and for the media to eat up and to come with their own interpretation of it. Because this offense did not get started with the weighty downs on Sunday night. It got started with better execution. And no, by no means did this offense cook. Okay? There were still a lot of questionable aspects about Sunday, like Kenny Pickett's poor decision on that pass to Marcus Peters that should have been a pick six. That 3rd and 11 where he dunked it off to Najee Harris to, yes, have the clock tick down, but do you really think that the way your defense got eaten alive by Devontae Adams all night, and at times Jacoby Myers, that you can trust it again? Now, thankfully, the defense did come through with an interception by Levi Wallace, but it's still questionable play calling. Stuff like Najee running up the middle. Again, opposing defenses still stacking up the boxes because they know what's coming offensively. And that is where it got started with better execution, not the weighty downs. So I think in order for us to continue this execution here, a couple of things need to happen. Number one, we need to be able to finish drives, okay? Because that's something that we haven't been doing all season so far. We get the third down, we stall. Because like I said, 9 of 29 on third downs for the first 2 weeks of the season is just horrendous. So you got to finish drives. Secondly, use Najee, if you have to keep him in as your RB1, use him the way that Jaylen Warren should be used. Okay? Incorporate some of the trickery and, have him find, the open lanes. Have a lead blocker come in for him. Because we saw that when Najee or when Jaylen Warren wasn't being that north and south runner, because he's not a north and south runner, and we know that Najee is a power runner, but you have to be able to use him the way that Najee is being able to, or Warren is being able to be used in order for our run game to have any sort of success. And finally, Matt Canada needs to step aside and he needs to let Kenny Pickett do what he wants to do. Because when that happened on Sunday, there was chemistry going with the offense. We were clicking. We were finding a rhythm. And I think that starts with the Pickett to Pickens connection, because that is by far the most lethal part of our offense. When Kenny Pickett started doing what he was doing, like I said at the beginning, scouring the field, spreading the ball around, maneuverability in the pocket to keep pass rushers at bay, there was chemistry going on. And he even picked up a first down with his legs. That was all Kenny Pickett right there. And Matt Canada not incorporating, the drags and the hitches. Let Kenny Pickett do what he needs to do to be as successful as possible. Because you take a look at this Houston Texans team, okay? Yeah, they're 1-2. Yeah, they're off to a slow start. But they're a rebuilding team that feels a lot better about themselves from where they were a couple years ago after, well, maybe not a couple years. Well, yeah, maybe it all started there with the DeAndre Hopkins trade, and especially last year with trading Deshaun Watson. But overall, this Texans team has used those draft picks to their advantage, and they're starting to get some progress going with this rebuild. D'Amico Ryan's a really good defensive-minded coach, and he has this defense playing very physical and very rough to start off the season. So we got to counter that, and I know that we can, because the defense for us at times looks suspect, and at times it looks spotty, especially in the pass defense. And the run defense can only do so much because we're going with injuries here. But still, we rang up 4 sacks on Sunday night, including a couple by T.J. Watt, who continues to pile up on the all-time sack record for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Steelers now lead the league in sacks with 13 on the season. So we have to fight fire with fire in this game. Incorporate the interior blitzes where Larry Ogunjobi gets involved with stopping the run and generating pressure. Keanu Benton, he got his first sack of his career on Sunday night. Have him plug up the hole like you drafted him to be that nose tackle guy. I want to see Nick Herbig get involved in this game as well. He's had very limited time so far But this is where I think Nick Herbig has to come in. And then, of course, you got to match up with Alex Highsmith going on Laramie Tunsil, in my opinion. You know, you take a look at Houston's artillery. Will Anderson, a real good player. Robert Woods, you know, a savvy veteran at receiver for C.J. Stroud, who I'll get to in a little bit. John Menchie's high on. Dalton Schultz they picked up in the offseason. And that Henry Tutu guy, I think if I'm saying his name right, he is playing okay so far to start off the year. And now you get to C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud has actually looked pretty decent so far in his rookie season. He's coming off a really good game against Jacksonville, and he has over 900 yards passing so far. And he's just a guy that takes real good care of the ball. He has not turned the ball over so far. Now, granted, he has been sacked 11 times, and that's because, you know, Houston's O-line is busted and it's depleted, which as a Steeler fan, I can say I know all too well about that. But overall, you got a good young man who is learning the game more and more as the weeks go by, and he is right up there with Anthony Richardson for so far looking like the best quarterback from the draft so far. So maybe he can break that cycle of Ohio State quarterbacks, you know, not succeeding in the NFL, which worries me about our defensive backs, as I mentioned with our pass defense, because the defensive backs have been dealing with wide receivers this year not very well. And I want to see Peasy Jr. get involved in this game, because Peasy Jr. leads all rookie defensive backs so far as targets and as far as coverage goes. The longest play that he's allowed so far was a 12-yard pickup. And that's it. Peasy Jr. is doing so well in his rookie season so far, and for the life of me, I don't know why we continue to be stubborn and not use him. Same thing with Broderick Jones, in my opinion. The gauntlet is over. This is the time for Broderick Jones to get his start and for Peasy Jr. to be your cornerback opposite of Patrick Peterson for this game. At the very least, Levi Wallace. Because we got cooked by Devontae Adams, like I said, all night Sunday night. But the turnovers and the sacks, as I said, are what got us in that game. Because we did turn the ball over. We did cause 3 turnovers. Granted, it was by Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson, who got cooked all night as well. But still, you can't keep using those two as your catalyst on the defensive back. Take the training wheels off of Peasy Jr. and let us see what he can do. Because like I said, C.J. Stroud takes care of the ball very well. The pass rush has to come in as well. Like I said, he's been sacked 11 times so far, and a lot of their linemen are either on IR or they're injured. So we're probably going to see a familiar face who is, in my opinion, a top 3 worst pick in the draft all time by the Steelers in Kendrick Green, which Houston fans, Dante, if you're watching this, you're in my thoughts and prayers because Kendrick Green is trash. Another guy that I want to see us get involved is Desmond King. Desmond King has barely even been called yet. You know, they got a good backfield in Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. So it seems to me that if C.J. Stroud is going to have any success in this game, he's got to kind of do what Kenny Pickett does, which is use that maneuverability to keep T.J. Watt at bay if they want him to succeed. You know, and that's a lot easier said than done because I don't know if Houston has the type of lineman that can double or even triple man T.J. Watt, which T.J. is just getting triple and double covered like every week now. So that's my opinion for C.J. Stroud. Of course, you got guys like Nico Collins, who's a real big body guy at receiver, who is just a real bad mismatch for a lot of people on the secondary, which frightens me about our secondary, to be totally honest with you. And then, of course, the big guy, Tank Dell, coming off a big game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that's a pretty fitting name for him in Tank, because this dude is just so explosive. Explosive and flashy. He's just the epitome of what every quarterback needs as a number one wide receiver right now. So, I mean, yeah, you take a look at this Houston team altogether. It's a very young team. It's a team that's still rebuilding. It's a team that's trusting their process. And, it's going to take a little bit for them to really be on the map as far as being competitive in the AFC goes. But I do see a lot of progress being made with this Texans team. They may not be amazing defensively, but they can come through with turnovers, and they can come in with speed and pressure up the middle as well, which leads me into my keys to victory for right now. So as far as the offense goes, it's so cliche for me to sit down here and say, well, Kenny Pickett needs to make smart decisions. He can't turn the ball over, which we did not turn the ball over Sunday. Thank God for that, even though we should have. But it's just the same old song and dance. Kenny Pickett cannot do this, and he can't do that. The run game can't do this, and they can't do that. But to me, it comes down to speed versus speed as far as the offense goes. Tank Dell, he's got some great wheels on him. He's flashing explosive. Guess what? We have the guy that can match up with that as well, and his name is Calvin Austin III. You see that 72-yard bomb from Kenny Pickett to Calvin Austin? It was a beautiful pass, undeniably a beautiful pass, the best pass I've seen Pickett ever have, at least so far. But Calvin Austin gave that Vegas secondary like second and third degree burns with how open he was and with how he took it the rest of the way for a touchdown. Because if it was like any other receiver, that's bare minimum just a big gain and a first down right there. But Calvin Austin was able to make it a touchdown because he's got great speed. So we got to counterbalance Houston's speed with Tank Dell with Calvin Austin. So I want to see Calvin Austin test out that Houston defense right there by catching him off guard with the speed right there. So Pickett to Pickens, we all love that as well, but I want to see more of Pickett to Austin for this game. As far as the defense goes, it's going to come down to the turnovers and the pass rush again, because that's what it came down to on Sunday. It's a break but don't bend type of defense here, but I feel like with Houston, you can't really bend. You can't really bend a whole lot in this one, because, like I said, C.J. Stroud takes very good care of the ball. He has not turned the ball over yet. You got to give him a welcome to the NFL. I want to see that pressure up the middle, especially as far as the interior blitzes go. You got to be able to confuse a young quarterback like that in C.J. Stroud. And you got to be like, hey, man, you've had a great start to the season so far, but there's going to come a time where you're going to throw an interception and you're going to get walloped. And this Pittsburgh Steelers defense is definitely the type of defense that can do that for C.J. Stroud. In short, make life miserable for that young quarterback. Don't give him any confidence and don't let him smell blood. So that's it. Those are my keys to victory, and quite frankly, that's my preview right here. Like I said, Mike Tomlin just loves to lose these types of games. We've seen it time and time again over the course of his career. Tomlin, you better not drop this game. You better have this team well-oiled and prepared for Sunday, because the Browns play the Ravens. One of those teams are going to be 3-1. And the Bengals got a pretty easy game down in Nashville against the Titans. we drop this game, we're not in last because we would still have a better conference and division record than the Bengals, but it would look real bad on our part coming back home the next week to play the Baltimore Ravens with a 2-2 record while they could possibly be 3-1. It would just be a bad look dropping a game to a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud, which I'm not taking anything away from him. The kid's playing incredibly well. I am certainly not underestimating Houston, but the question is Tomlin underestimating these guys? You're 22-4 against rookie quarterbacks. Show CJ Stroud why that's the case. And you better not dumb down the competition in this one. Because even if you do, and if we come out with a win, my post game ain't going to be pretty. I can say that right now. Pittsburgh Steelers, you're 2-1. You've won 2 in a row. You flew from Vegas back to Pittsburgh because the team plane needed to make an emergency landing in Kansas City due to engine failure. But, thankfully everyone's okay. But now you'd fly back down onto Houston. A lot of traveling going on in the past couple of days. Don't let it faze you and get the damn job done. Let me know what yinz think down in the comments below. And this is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody. Let's go Steelers!